Prynhawn da pawb a croeso I cyfarfod bwrdd cyhoeddus. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's board meeting, at which we hopefully will approve the annual accounts and the annual report, the final accounts for 24-25. As always, at the start of these meetings, these public meetings, I'd like to be assured that all members receive the paper in good time, that the papers are clear and comprehensive, and that if there's anything members feel omitted from the papers, then it would be good to let us know now. I'm presuming no one in the room. Everybody in the room is happy with that, and I'm looking at the screen. Everybody's happy on the screen. Great, okay, and further to that, when we make a decision, to generally use a set of consistent decision-making principles. Those are that we are fair, affordable and sustainable in our decision-making, consistent with our strategy, not creating an unhelpful precedent, and always safe. Great, okay. Having reiterated that, I'll turn to apologies. We've received a number of apologies for this afternoon's meeting. Sarah Haraway, independent member, Chantal Patel, independent member, Mark Henwood, executive medical director, Ardiana Gini, who I think is being substituted by Bruce Bowler.
Yes, Chair.
I think he's on.
He may be on the second screen.
Great, okay. Lisa Gosling, who unfortunately can't join us today. I think Heather Hinkins is joining in her place. Sharon Daniel, unfortunately, can't join us either, and Kathy Steele is representing Sharon and the directorate. Alwena Hughes-Muggs, who's on leave, and Michael Gray. And finally, last but not least, no one is representing Llais this afternoon. Great, okay. Let us move on to, well, first of all, can I just ask for declarations of interest? Any declarations of interest in relation to any item on today's agenda? No? Great, thank you. Can we record that? There are no declarations of interest. Can I move us to committee annual reports? Jo, I'm going to turn to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So the SFAR summaries the activities of the committees during 24-25. They've set out how the committees have met their terms of reference, as well as identifying key areas of work that they've undertaken on the board's behalf. And it's also a requirement of standing orders for the committee to review its effectiveness annually. So the reports have been through each of their committees prior to being submitted to board today for endorsement. And I think just as an overview, when you read the reports collectively, the reports demonstrate the significant amount of work that the committees undertake on the board's behalf. So really just to take the opportunity to thank the committee chairs for all their work that they do in each of their respective committees, Chair. And then if we could just hand over to each of the committee chairs just to present their reports, Chair, just recognising we have a new structure for this financial year in terms of governance.
Thank you, Jo. Could we go to Rhodri first?
Well, I'm going to keep it very brief here. I take the report as read, but I do want to thank the committee, Jo, Charlotte, Claire, for all the hard work. It's been we've scrutinised so much work here, and we've got a clear vision on the way forward, and I leave it like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhodri. Can I just ask if there's any comments or questions? No? Thank you. Can I move to Charitable Funds Committee? Ewan, I think you're on screen.
I'm not sure if Ewan's
Can you check the second screen?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Ewan's having connection problems. If Ewan isn't here, Chair, the report has gone through the committee. It's been fully scrutinised by the committee. So again, this one is for the board's endorsement. Okay,
we'll carry on and come back in case Ewan is having difficulties and he joins the meeting before we finish this item. Can I go to the Health and Safety Committee? Anne Murphy.
No, I do
Thank
know
you,
Anne.
Chair.
Well, thank you, Anne.
I got it reloaded. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'll take the report as read. But overall, our purpose was to provide assurance around the health board arrangements for ensuring health and safety, welfare and security to all employees and those who may become affected by work-related activities such as patients, members and public volunteers and contributions. I'd also like to commend the excellent work generated by the health and safety security team, and we've the report is no alerts, plenty of advices, which we've maintained a good control of. But the conclusion is the committee is satisfied that it continues to operate effectively and in line with the terms of reference. Issues have been escalated to board as appropriate, and the committee uses feedback from self-assessment processes to evolve and continually improve. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Anne. Can I ask members if there's any questions or comments? No? Great, thank you very much. Let's move to Mental Health Legislation Committee and Vice Chair Eleanor Moore.
Thank you very much. I keep it brief. It's very good discussions at committee. I'd like to thank all the staff involved in supporting me at committee there, and all the work that has been done in that field by people who are under pressure with lots of work to do. It's been great discussions, and I'd like to thank them, particularly as I stand down as chair of that committee and move to a different committee. A very good year for the committee. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Eleanor. Colleagues, any questions or points for clarification? No? Great, thank you. Let's move to People, Organisational Development and Culture Committee. Chantal.
Chantal has sent her apologies, Chair, and have asked me to say it on her behalf. The report is as read, but I'm not sure if Anna as the Vice Chair or Eleanor as the incoming Chair of PODCA wanted to add anything specifically to that paper, Chair.
Colleagues, you're welcome to add anything to the paper.
I have no additional information to add, but I would like to pass my thanks on to the people who supported me in learning about the committee and going forward, and to thank Anna as Vice Chair through the year. It seems to be a very well run committee.
Thank you. Anna, did you want to add anything?
Only to formally acknowledge the role that Chantal has played in the development of this committee, and to thank her very much for doing so. Great.
Perhaps we could record our thanks to Chantal, who's not here today and who has chaired the committee over this past period. Great. Okay, let's go to Quality, Safety and Experience Committee. Anna.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Delighted to recommend this report to board today. It has been through our committee for scrutiny and reflects the enormous diversity of issues that we discussed through quality, safety and experience, with a rigour and a commitment that I know all members of the committee share. Happy to take any questions on it, and can I make a particular vote of thanks for Jo and her team, and particularly to our committee services officer, who does the most fantastic job in making sense of an exceptionally complex committee, both in supporting the agenda planning and development and also in recording our extensive discussions. So particular thanks to Katie.
Thank you, Anna. Colleagues, any thoughts or questions? If you're happy with that, let's move to Strategic Development and Operational Delivery Committee. Maynard, has Maynard managed to join the call now?
I have.
Yeah.
Diolch, Dave. Thank you, Chair. The report is very much as written. I would say, as Anna did, we covered an enormous breadth of work during the last year. The committee has now been stood down in the reorganised governance structure. And I'd just like to express my thanks to my fellow IMs and directors, all of whom have contributed immensely to the work of the committee over the last year. But particular thanks to Helen Mitchell, again, for keeping me on the straight and narrow as far as the committee is concerned. With that, open to questions.
Thank you, Maynard. We're just a tad disconcerted. You have a blue moustache.
Perhaps I'll have to get the day out.
I suspect it's the background you're using. I'm sure it's the background you're using, not suspect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Colleagues, any questions or thoughts? No? Great. Thank you, Maynard. Sustainable Resources Committee. Winston.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much. The report is taken as read. It's been my delight to chair the Sustainable Resources Committee since April 2021. And like the Strategic Resources Committee, it'll be changing to become a new Finance and Performance Committee. I'd just like to thank the independent member contributions and executive colleagues, and also no doubt to the committee governance support team as well, who supported the committee very, very well during the year. It was an eventful year. During the year, we actually, as a health board, which he will go on to say, more than achieved our target challenge by the Welsh Government. And we also did a lot of things to support and provide assurance to the board. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Winston. Great. No questions. I'm now going to take us back to Charitable Funds Committee. I think Ewan's joined us on the call.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Hope you can hear me.
We can.
Yeah, no, I'll take the report as read. And obviously, I have recently stepped in following the footsteps of my colleague Delith Rainsford, who has now kind of completed her term. I would also like to echo my thanks to the whole team in terms of charitable funds led by Nicola Llewellyn, and the projects and departments across the Health Board who have submitted applications into charitable funds, and those we've been able to fund over the last 12 months as well. We will have seen some fantastic developments which we've been able to support through charitable funds, including obviously one of the most high profile recently in Brongleis in Aberystwyth, which we were very happy to support. But I will take the report as read and happy to respond to any questions.
Diolch, Ewan. Thank you. Can I just say that well done to everybody concerned. We have iterated the board committee structure over this past year, so started a new programme of committees from the 1st of April. So it remains for me to say thank you for everybody who contributed in the past year to the existing committee structure as it was. Thank you to independent members who chaired and attended these meetings. Thank you very much to the team who supported that and ensured that they were efficiently delivered, administratively sound in terms of their approach, and that we delivered the business. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Can I move us on to year-end assurance? And this is the annual assessment of board effectiveness for 24-25. It carries with it a recommendation, but I'm going to turn to Jo and Phil.
So thank you, Chair. So as the board will be aware, to demonstrate good governance and to fulfil the requirements of our standing orders, the board should review its effectiveness annually, which we do obviously try to review that throughout the year. So this year, a new approach has been developed which was done a full review by the board on the 17th of April 2025, where the board was asked to assess where they felt they were against 10 criteria. Following the board meeting, we also took this to ARAC on the 8th of May 2025, where there was a good debate there in terms of validating the board's assessment. We also looked at the evidence used. We looked at the Corporate Governance Code of Conduct, all of our board committee effectiveness, and a set of external assurances to try and validate those assurances where the board felt it was. We've also shared this with Welsh Government as part of our targeted intervention process. As we know, one of the requirements of de-escalation is about a board effectiveness tool, which we're in conversation with Welsh Government now about how we will tweak this throughout the year. We've also developed a plan in terms of how we can either maintain or improve throughout the next year, Chair.
Thank you very much. Nothing to add. Okay. Any comments or suggestions? No? Thank you very much. Can I move us on to item 5, which is Head of Internal Audit Opinion and Annual Report 24-25. This covers the recommendation that we take assurance from the Head of Internal Audit Opinion and Annual Report.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So I'm presenting this on behalf of our Head of Internal Audit today, James Johns, who can unfortunately not be with us today. So the Head of Internal Audit Opinion was discussed in detail at our kind of in fact over the last few audit committee meetings before that. But I'm pleased to inform the board that this year we've received a Head of Internal Audit Opinion that's got to be given a reasonable assurance rating, which is progress from last year where we received a limited Head of Internal Audit Opinion. What you can see in the report, there are 7 limited reports that we've seen within the year that have been tracked through the committee. However, one area which our Head of Internal Audit did ask me to call out was it was a very close decision this year whether it would be a reasonable or limited assurance, mainly because of the reports that were limited were in the operational space. So just personally like to thank James and Sophie and the team because they've worked exceptionally closely with us throughout the year and given us some really good constructive feedback. But just for an independence perspective, I just hand over to our audit chair if there's any other elements Rodri would like to add, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. And as Joe said just now, I just also want to thank James, Sophie and the team for all the co-working over the last 12 months. It was a positive, reasonable Head of Internal Audit, having a reasonable assurance, which is good. But as was said, it was close to the line. And I think moving forward, strong arrangements regarding at a corporate level, we have to have a real focus on consistency and governance across the operation arm of the organisation to avoid the continued concerns regarding these arrangements. Therefore, with those few words, I'm hoping in the next year we are going to be concentrating on those and moving forward. So thank you. And as I said, thank you to James and the team.
Thank you, Rodri.
Yeah, of course, we are really pleased that we've made progress from a limited assurance to a reasonable assurance internal audit opinion. But as has been recognised, we do realise as an executive team that it was a close decision, and we've got some significant work over the next year, and we hope to improve over the next year. But delighted that we did get it just above the line to reasonable assurance.
Great, thank you very much. Can I ask, ask board members if we're assured by this report? Yep, great. I can see people nodding on screen as well. Thank you very much. Let's take assurance from the opinion Head of Internal Audit. Thank you. In terms of items 6 and 7, I'm going to reverse the order. So I'm going to take the annual report and final accounts for 24-25 and then come to Audit Wales and the letter of representation. Okay, so could we move to the annual report and final accounts for 24-25? Would you like to begin?
If I could, Chair. So you'll see there's a huge amount of information in the report, and before I hand over to Joe and Hugh, I just wanted to say that I think take the opportunity to say a big thank you to our staff for who've really enabled us to make the progress that you'll see in that report. I do think the report does demonstrate the progress of the organisation, which I think is significant in many areas. Although, of course, we know and can see from the report that there's still much work to do over this year and coming years. But just to reiterate, a big thank you to our staff and a big thank you to our executive team for the work they put in over the last year. And with that, I shall hand over to Joe.
Thank you. So I'm going to start and then Hugh's going to follow. So the annual report, as you'll be aware, is made up of the 3 elements: performance report, the accountability report, and the accounts. I'll take the first 2 elements, even though it's Hugh's team that pulled the performance report together for the organisation. So it's just to say this has been done in detail at the audit committee twice already, in early May and then on Tuesday. And what we did for the first meeting was we tracked every single change, which then went back through the audit committee this Tuesday. So I'm not going to add anything further really, other than just to say we've incorporated all the comments from Audit Wales, internal audit, and from Welsh Government, so that is the final version to approve today. Maynard did pick out one comment in the Audit Committee on Tuesday, which is it may not be rectified in the packs you've got, but it is in the version on the website, which is for Mr. Thomas. We've missed off one of your committee memberships, which has now been rectified. But I do just want to say a huge thank you to Fiona in the communications team, Charlotte in my team, Tracy and team in performance, and Rhiannon and Tim in Hugh's team, because it's a huge effort to pull this together, and the teams work really closely together. But also just to thank our committee chairs, who've also taken time to review this to check the accuracy of it as well. So with that, Chair, it's recommended for approval for the board. Once again, Hugh's taken us through the accounts.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Diolch Cadeirydd. A mae'n ymrydedd cael cyfrifon ar gymeradwyaeth y bwrdd. Really pleased to present the Council of Board's approval. We have 3 statutory duties as a board and 1 administrative duty, and I'll just go through those positions in terms of how they've been laid out in the accounts. The first is, from a revenue perspective, to spend up to the limit provided to us by government over a 3-year basis. That's measured each year, but naturally the cumulative position is what we are measured against. So our position in the year was a deficit of 24.1 million, and over a 3-year period our cumulative deficit was 148.9 million, and that naturally means that from an audit perspective our accounts have been qualified on a regularity basis. That's because we have spent in excess of the amount that the Senedd had approved for our use. The second is around our capital resource limit, and that's in many ways a mirror of that revenue position for our capital position. Pleased to say that we did achieve this. We underspent against our capital duty by 86,000 in the year and 188,000 cumulatively. The third duty we have is to prepare an IMTP, a medium-term plan over a 3-year period, and we didn't achieve that target and that requirement for reasons that the board will be well aware of. And the last target we have is an administrative duty to pay our creditors within 30 days of receipt of goods, services or invoices, and I'm pleased to say that we did achieve that target. We paid 95.8% of those within the required timelines. I wanted to thank the organisation for responding to the financial challenge that we had during the last year, and this clearly comes on the back of a number of years of continued financial challenges and post-COVID, which were exacerbated because of the inflationary pressures we felt over the last year. We achieved 24.1 million as a deficit, and that was after receiving funding of 6.5 million from Welsh Government over and above what was originally planned for the year to recognise some of those inflationary pressures, and a further 26 million which was provided to the Health Board on a conditionally recurrent basis, on the basis that we will have a trajectory to get down to break even by year 3, which is in 2 years' time. We delivered as an organisation £31.5 million worth of savings, which is greater than we have delivered previously, and 14.3 million of those were recurrently delivered. That means that we will receive the benefit of those into future years. That has required work from colleagues across the organisation, and I want to thank colleagues for their diligence in making sure that we are providing value to the taxpayer alongside our duty to provide quality services and safe services for the population we are here to serve. I also want to specifically, in terms of the accounts, thank colleagues within the finance team for their hard work in pulling these together, the performance team for their work, and the communications team, as well as the governance team under Joe's leadership, for their work in supporting, pulling together what is an extraordinary effort at the end of the year to provide this important summary of the organisation's performance.
Also wanted to thank colleagues in internal audit to provide us with a really important function in supporting our performance from a governance perspective, and as well colleagues from Audit Wales for their scrutiny over the accounts. I also wanted to finish by thanking colleagues and independent members, particularly those on the Audit and Risk Assurance Committee, who've provided scrutiny on 2 occasions over the accounts before they've come to board. And with that, I'll hand over to Rhodri, if I may, Chair, for any observations from an Audit Committee perspective.
Okay, wel, gallai hefyd ddiolch I bawb sydd ynglwm gyda'r gwaith o gael y cyfrifonon terfynol a'r adroddiad blynyddol yn ei le. Can I thank Hugh, Joe, and all others involved, all the teams for the co-working, and also the co-working with Audit Wales over the year. For assurance to the board, I can confirm that all elements of the annual report and accounts, that is the performance report, the accountability report, and the accounts have been reviewed in detail by ARAC in the draft format in May and the final draft stage on Tuesday of this week. I am content that all required changes requested by Audit Wales and Welsh Government have been made and a robust audit trail retained. Following presentation to ARAC on the individual elements as described above and reviewing the ISA 260 with Audit Wales, I can confirm as Chair of ARAC that the committee approved the annual report and accounts and recommends these for onward ratification by the board.
Diolch, Rhodri. Can I ask if the board is content to approve?
Can you just hold, Chair, 1 minute until you've heard from the auditors, and then ask the board to approve at that point.
So we get the letter representation
We
first.
just go to David first. Thank you, Chair.
David.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. David Williams, Audit Manager, Audit Wales, and I'm pleased to be here this afternoon to present the audit accounts, the ISA 260 report. The report summarises the main findings from the audit of the 24-25 annual report and accounts. At the time of preparing the report, there were a couple of tasks outstanding. These were bulleted in the introduction to the report. Since that time, both of these tasks have been completed. We intend to issue an unqualified true and fair opinion, but a qualified regularity opinion on the accounts. The audit report at Appendix 3 explains that the regularity opinion for 24-25 is qualified. In line with prior years, the regularity opinion is qualified because the Health Board did not meet its revenue resource allocation over a 3-year period ending 31st of March 2025. We also intend to issue a substantive report, also shown at Appendix 3, which explains why our audit opinion in respect of the regularity of expenditure is qualified. The report also refers to the fact that the Health Board did not meet its financial duty to have an approved 3-year integrated medium-term plan. The regularity opinion is not qualified for this. There are no other significant matters to report to you. There are no uncorrected, non-trivial misstatements in the accounts which we wish to draw to your attention. There are no significant recommendations arising from our work. The report also confirms our independence and objectivity. The letter of representation we are requesting to be signed is included at Appendix 4, the contents of which are in line with our standard request for representations as part of the audit process. Appendix 2 provides a summary of a small number of corrections made to the accounts during the audit. These were narrative corrections only, no financial impact at all. Finally, I'd like to extend our thanks to the officers and staff of the Health Board for their cooperation throughout the audit process, which has helped us to deliver the audit effectively this year. I'm happy to take any questions, Chair.
Diolch, David. Colleagues, any questions? Thank you, David. Noting your qualified opinion in relation to the regularity. Can I go back to board members and ask if you are happy to approve the annual report and the final accounts? Yep, great. Okay, let's confirm that is approved. This will now go to Welsh Government by the end of this week.
By the end of meeting chair, the document's already prepared for you all to sign, and then we will be sharing that back with Audit Wales colleagues by the end of today, Chair.
Great, and then we will present at the annual
At the annual
general
meeting.
meeting on the 25th of September. Great, thank you. Colleagues, I think that's it. Business is concluded. Is there any final comments or thoughts people would want to make? Other than, isn't that refreshingly brief?
The audit committee done the hard work.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, everybody, for all your hard work into what makes the meeting go in a polished and smooth way. It's a consequence of all the hard work that people have done to achieve that. Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you very much for joining today's board meeting. I hope you have a happy and successful rest of the day.